Saturday night, April 2nd. We decided to get together, the four of us, Bill, Ann, Eric, myself, and Devin, and we went out to dinner and just kind of talking about a good friend of ours that passed away this past Monday, Micheal Longo. 57 years old, died of pancreatic cancer. Fought it pretty good, but in the end came pretty quick. So unfortunately. But we decided to get together and talk to him a little bit, talk about him a little bit rather. We got some of his helis here. There were 7 of them. There's still a few floating around here somewhere. What do we got? 5, 6, 7, something like that. Yep. There's a couple in the other room. So
radio's up there.
If any of you guys knew him, great. If you didn't, you could usually see all 7 of his helicopters lined up perfectly at all the fun flies, and that was Mike. So he flew all of them. A lot. He flew with us up until, when's the last time he flew with us? Was it November maybe? End of October, beginning of November?
Yeah, it was the end of the fall.
Devin actually forgot our batteries that day. And we went down and we flew all 7 of his, just one after the other for a whole bunch of hours. And at the end of that flight, he made a comment that it was probably one of the best days he ever had flying. And then as we're leaving, he says this was probably my last day. Because I don't think he thought he was gonna live till the springtime, and he didn't. So, unfortunately, so
these things are great. They're all
they are identical.
So,
they are absolutely identical. So I don't know what everybody knows about Mike, but what do you guys want to know?
Oh, how about how'd you meet him? Like, what was the first time you met him and everything? Like, kind of
man,
run over.
It's probably 2006. Yeah, right? Yeah, probably 2006. I don't even think you were going to the field with me yet. They had a fun fly in Long Valley, New Jersey called Come Fly With Me. And it was an introduction to the hobby. And what the guys did is they all brought their planes and helicopters out so we could see them. And I used to fly a helicopter for the crowd. And I showed up there late. I had a Roby Millennium I was flying. And I was setting it all up, and some guy comes up behind me and says, I fly helicopters too. And I was like, really? And he goes, yep. He goes, I fly a Shuttle Z. And I was like, I had one of those years ago, so I was familiar with it. And I said to him, I said, is that the one with the start belt on it, on the engine? And he goes, yes, it is. And that was Mike. He was just really hovering at the time. And he watched me fly. And then a couple of his friends and himself came over and joined our club, and we started flying pretty regularly. I think, man, we were out there 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week, and he just used to do loop after loop after loop. And I remember seeing him do his first loop, and he says, "Rob, look at this." And he does a loop, and I said, great, now do 100 more. And he was all disappointed. He's like, oh man. But he went out and did them, and he became quite the pilot there. So he loved these 550s. It was really cool. So when did you guys meet him?
Well, it was shortly after I moved out here. So I think it was about 7 years ago when I moved out. I was at Polda. At the time I was still flying a flybarred heli. I had kind of like stepped away from the hobby and then came back into it. And Mike, I think at the time, maybe had 3 of these, or 3 or 4. He wasn't up to 7 yet.
Yeah.
And basically he started talking to me about the flybarless system and the B-Stacks and the Trex 550, which later on I eventually got one. And he went through every little bit of it, and he showed me how to set up the B-Stacks. He showed, like, he had my heli set up almost exactly like all of his other ones. It was incredible, and like how meticulous he was. Do you have his books? There it is. Yeah.
This is how meticulous he was. Come on and look at this. These are his software versions. Now this guy was an engineer, electrical engineer, and he's got written down what software versions. At the time he only had 3 and 1 spare Trex, but he would write everything up. He went down and through each heli.
That's what he brought out.
All of the letters and the colors of the B-Stacks. what it meant, what they were set to. I mean, just like crazy stuff. He used to go through each step and write it out on how to program it, what all his values were set to. I mean, this guy was so meticulous. And when I'm telling you that these helicopters are identical, they're identical right down to the way the wires are run, where the ESC is,
Everything's the same.
the actual, check this out. This is the actual sizes of the red Mikado tape that need to be cut out to hold the ESC on and the B stacks down to the millimeter. It was crazy. I went and picked up all this stuff from his wife Tuesday, and I opened this up, and this is all his notes from all the crashes. He would have all the parts he needed, where he was getting them from, and there's quite a few of them.
I think we remember some of the
There's
crashes.
a lot of crashes, yeah. Oh, this one's got some cursing in it. Yeah. So, he was very well known for yelling at his helicopters when they went in. So it was pretty comical. So at least we thought it was. He didn't, but we thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's crazy to think about when he passed away, all the knowledge and everything that he learned and experience that went goodbye with him. So these are two of his nitros up here, his radios. We ended up having seven of us each buy one helicopter, and we're going to keep them going and keep them flying and keep them as we say in the family. So it should be pretty cool. When did you meet him, Bill?
Oh boy.
GCA days?
Yeah, I met him at GCA, and Mike and you were both influential in getting me to really feel that I could actually be in the hobby.
Ah.
Because it was just a tough going. I couldn't find any place to really fly that wasn't 2 hours away. And Mike really made it happen, where I had a local field that I could actually talk to people, other heli pilots, and get some actually good flying time in.
That's cool. He was good for that. He would help everybody.
Yeah, he was. If you were a heli pilot, he was all for helping you.
Yeah, if you were an airplane pilot, you weren't getting the time of day.
Yeah, you dropped that.
He used to give me so much crap because I would fly airplanes also, and I mean, for him it was helis and helis only.
Helis
that
only.
was him. That was his style.
Yeah.
But he'd throw a little dig in there every once in a while, like, oh, what is that? That's a funny looking helicopter you got there, and I'd be holding an airplane. Like, oh, I got the helis here too.
Yeah, I think he hated when I flew the jets, but
yeah.
Probably did.
Oh well. Oh well. It's just how it went. So what are you gonna do? So
it was great watching him fly these too, because his meticulous nature was translated right into how he flew too. He had a very set routine that he would fly. It was 6 or 7 maneuvers, but he would execute the same time in the same order. I've never seen a person do a more perfect downline with a helicopter.
Nice and straight.
He would just straight down, and it would be a perfect line. And that's something that I'll never forget. It's just how his flying routine was, and he was a master of what he did. In that way, it was cool.
Yeah, kept them pretty good. They're pretty clean. They're a little dusty now from sitting around the last couple of months, but we'll clean them up, get them in the air. So. How old were you when you met him, Devin?
Oh man, you must have been a kid.
How old are you now? 10?
He's 20 now. He's 20 now.
I'm 20 now.
So you
I've
had to
have
be...
known him for at least 13 years, right?
Yeah, you're probably right. Yep.
I had to.
It was probably the first times you saw him were probably at Top in New Jersey.
I mean, yeah, definitely Top, because I remember going to the 4-H fair stuff with him.
Yep, we did the 4-H fair down in Chester.
Yeah, I remember going to that stuff, and at that time we were still flying the Raptors and everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, holy
We're
mackerel,
still flying
that's a long time
flybar
ago.
and stuff. But yeah, for everybody, I learned how to fly in a flybar, okay?
What's a fly bar? Doug will be like, that's where I make the drinks.
That's the drinks.
That's where I do the drinks.
Nah, I learned how to fly on a Raptor partially due to Mike as well, because he would constantly be like, "Oh, you gotta fly this."
So Mike flew those two Nitros religiously, okay? And he said to me, he goes, you guys figure out the electrics. Figure out which one's best, which flybarless system works best, what batteries, what charger to use, and when you figure that all out, he goes, then I'll buy one.
Yep.
So that's exactly what we did. I found the first 550 online. We bought it because he liked the 500 to 600 size heli. He liked one battery, so it wasn't terribly expensive. You got good flight times, good power. And we put it together, and he absolutely fell in love with it. He was like, this is great. Bought an iCharger 308 and a couple pulse batteries, and off he went. So
Yeah, those batteries have a lot of cycles on them.
oh my god,
of
oh my god.
A lot of
Yeah,
cycles.
like multiple hundreds of cycles
On each one.
Yeah, and what was great too is he used to fly them, and then he would change a setting in the flybarless for Devin, and then Devin would fly it, so he'd be beating it up doing all this 3D stuff, and then he'd go back to his settings and he'd do nice big beautiful maneuvers. So it was very cool. It was very cool. I don't know if any of you ever saw his crashes with him yelling at them, but that was
HOD is the comical and most memorable one.
That's the big
Heli's
event.
over
Yeah.
Delaware. We all remember that. There's
Yeah.
probably a lot of people that also remember that.
Yeah.
He made
That'll be all over the video comments.
My favorite was still when he had the infamous crash at the one club
At
that
GCA.
we will not mention. But I still remember when he had that crash, and he runs out and he's like, I give up on helicopters. I hate them. And then at the Christmas party, at the club Christmas party, he won a plane.
won a
And I'm
plane.
like, see, well, it's a good thing, because I thought you gave him Ellie. He's like, no, I didn't give him up.
I think he gave one of those planes to Steve.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
he did. That's the one that Steve flew into the tree.
Yep.
Wait, was that
Yeah.
a Cub?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that Cub.
You have
You have that Cub?
That's the Cub that I fixed. Yeah, Steve,
Oh, wow.
Steve destroyed it. I rebuilt it.
All right.
And that's the Cub that I flew those few times over in West Jersey.
Oh,
right,
there you
wait.
go.
So now I can't get rid of that Cub.
Yeah,
Oh,
rid of that
yeah,
Cub, yeah.
Well, don't worry. Don't worry. Mike hated planes. So you can get it. Nothing.
He probably wants me to get rid of it.
Yeah, he probably wants you to crash it.
Exactly. So that was amazing. So, yeah, I don't know how long he was flying for. I don't know how many years. He started about 5 years before I met him, and
Probably since about 2001 then, I guess.
no, it was pretty unsuccessful with flying. He saw a heli somewhere in a hobby store and bought it and put it together and couldn't get it in the air. Just all kinds of issues. He had a couple other guys trying to help him, but they were all just learning, so nobody really knew anything. And then when he got hooked up with all of us and he watched us fly, he was like, oh my gosh. And we started setting things up for him, and it just took off from there. So it was crazy. So figured we'd be flying with him for a lot longer, but it changed.
Yeah.
So they're cool. They're cool helis.
Did you guys have a hobby store together too?
Oh yeah, we had JB Hobbies, Jersey Boys Hobbies. It stood for in Dunellen. He owned a building down there, and we started selling just helicopter stuff, car stuff, and everything. We ran it for a few years, and then we just saw the trends going towards like online and everything, and we said, yeah, let's just go flying. So
Yeah.
so got out of it. But I mean, it was fun. I spent a ton of time down there with them, and we used to run the cars up and down the avenue at like midnight, and the local police would come over with the radar gun and see how fast we were going.
That's cool.
Yeah, they had RC cars. They used to run them, and they would come in and buy stuff and everything. It was just crazy. I mean, we would go down there on Friday nights. We would get there at like 6 p.m. and at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd have people coming in and they're buying stuff. They're buying tires for the cars and everything, and it was absolutely crazy. So but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was tough. Work all day and then you go to the store at night, you know. But it was interesting. He didn't want anything to do with anything other than if you had a heli question, he'd help you out. Anything else, he's like, you got to see Rob. I don't know. Come see him. So it's like I don't want to deal with anything else other than something that
he was very
beats the air.
straight lined into the helicopters. That was it. No deviations.
Yeah, exactly.
And particularly only these helicopters, like towards the end.
Yeah. He knew these inside out and backwards. He was so into it that if he bought them used, took every single thing apart, and if it called for a 2.5 by 6 millimeter bolt and it had a 2.5 by 4, he would throw that 4 away and put the 6 in. It was like, I mean, just, nope, this is wrong, this is not right, this is not right, and he would just change it over. Some of them came with
his 7th one had a carbon boom, and he got rid of that and put the regular boom on it, right?
Yeah, because the other 6
didn't match.
Didn't match. So yeah. As a matter of fact, I think that carbon boom is in the other room. So even down to the blades, the frames, we found the guy who had 2 millimeter frames in somewhere in Canada, but he wouldn't take. He took some funky payment, and I ended up sending him money, and the frames came here, and then I got them to Mike. So it was pretty crazy.
I can remember, what was it? I think it was the last time we flew with him before the winters of last year. So the last time we went flying is when he had that blade problem where the blade walked out.
Oh, it's right here.
Oh, isn't that blade? Yeah.
He had a shake, and he says, "Can you figure it out?" And I don't know if you guys can see it, but the bolt actually pulled through the blade. So this blade was 3 or 4 millimeters longer and caused this shake, violent shake on spooling down. And we pulled the blades off, and I was like, "Yep, there's your problem."
That was the last time. That was the last time we flew with him.
That was the last time we flew, and we fixed this, and then we flew all his helis. So it was crazy.
That made him. He was so happy when
I keep his blade up here with all of Diamante's broken shit.
Oh, all right,
Well, because that's pretty common.
Because that's pretty common. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Oh man.
Yeah, that was the last time when we went flying in November when we found that, wasn't it? When he was like, "Oh my God, you just saved me from re-kitting a helicopter."
Yeah, exactly. So I think the only place he went to Spring Fling with us a couple times, Fall Mowdown, HOD, all the New Jersey events. Went to Long Island. Matter of fact, the first time we went to Long Island, he had never been over the Hudson. His entire life, never crossed the bridge. Never even saw the bridge.
I remember this.
We pull up to the GWB. We're going over it, and he's got his camera. You know how he took pictures of everything, right?
Yep.
He starts taking pictures of the bridge. We go over the bridge. We get to the other side. What's the officers that do that? Port Authority?
Oh, Port Authority.
Port Authority. On the window. He rolls the window down. She's like, "Your camera?" And we were like, "What for?" "You took a picture of the bridge."
Wow.
They had us on video taking pictures of the bridge, and you can't, since 9/11, you can't do that. So he's like, "Okay, well, how about I just delete the pictures?" She's like, "Nope, your camera." He's like, "I'm not giving you my camera." So he starts deleting all the pictures, and he deletes it completely wiped out. And he says, there's nothing on the camera. She says, "No more pictures of any of our bridges or tunnels." And he goes, "Well, what if I want a picture of it?" She goes, "Buy a postcard." Rolled up the window, and we drove off. We were like, "Holy crap!"
Wow. The inventor of the double dog.
Yeah, we always said that hot dogs are not proportional to the size of the bun. So we were at a fun fly one time. He goes, "Geez, I wonder what happens if you put 2 dogs on." So he puts 2 hot dogs on the bun. He goes, "This is perfect." He goes, it's proportioned correctly for the size of the bun." So we call them double dogs, and a lot of guys know we're gonna have to start eating double dogs again.
Yeah, for sure.
Parting words for Mike is that I wish you were here longer. We'll keep your shit flying for you, and Godspeed, man. Sucks, but I hear the dog whining.
I hear, yeah.
The dog's like, "I want to come out and be in the video." It's like, no. So, what do you guys? Any Any
We're gonna miss him.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna. He was a unique individual.
Yep.
He really brought a lot to the hobby that he really cared about. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah. Anybody that knew him, you know, he wasn't. Did we do it? We didn't really have a whole lot of video of him, did we? Got a lot of pictures.
No,
Yeah.
he has a lot of video of us flying. Like
He was the guy always.
Yeah.
He's like Bill. He was always
Yeah.
behind the camera.
Yeah.
A few shots. We'll grab some and I guess mix them in. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a video
fun.
of me flying my first 550 electric, actually, I think. And it's funny because his commentary is on it too. You know, he's like, oh yeah, who does flips and rolls like on a maiden flight? This guy does.
This guy
you know?
does. Yeah. Actually, one of those is here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We don't know. That's the other thing.
Came from Barbuda.
That's the other thing is like Greg Barbudo wanted his. He goes, I want my original one back. I want to keep that, you know. And he's like, I want my original one back, and we can't figure out which one it is because they are all the same.
Yeah.
There's one here that has got red tail gears. This one. That's
Yeah.
it. That one's got red tail gears in the back, which is really the only difference.
Yeah, it's the only way you can tell them apart.
Yeah, it's crazy. Cool. Well, I guess on that note,
Yeah, man.
yeah, hopefully there's
I'm gonna miss him.
hopefully there's something in the afterlife and we can all fly again when we're all in that same situation. So,
We'll keep these flying for you, though, Mike.
woo! Rock and roll.